Hello, I'm Julia Cordova. Thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. I really appreciate it. So last week I had thought that GDX would have a green week. Yay! But I also thought for the nth week in a row that oil might be red. Boo, Cordova, what is you doing? However, in my defense, I did nail the exact top of XOP. Midweek, I tweeted about that, and the weekly candle is still red for the oil stocks. So I won't venture a guess out loud about what I think is going to happen there this week. But what I will say is I think my highest probability again is gold miners being green for the week. I think so. And I think that green contagion will spread over into gold and silver as well. But we shall see when we look at the charts. From an indices perspective, we broke out of a bull flag on ES this past week. I know, and everything looks super bullish. However, for NQ, we are still right on the bubble of breaking out, and there are some important earnings coming out this week that could take us one way or another. So for this week, my general inclination is that I think we might close the week red. I know. What? Maybe not, though. That actually depends on how far the pullback is. So we'll see. And it might close slightly green instead. I don't know, but I don't think we're going to get a whomper of a week. So we'll see. And in any case, we'll see whether or not that happens. With that said, let's talk charts. You ready? Whoop. All right. Okay. So let's start off by looking at the ES weekly chart. You can see, it's too bad I didn't draw this in before. This is the bull flag that I was talking about. And pretty much we did a little dipping and then we went whoop, and we never came back and even tested this low at all. So from a weekly perspective, even though we broke out of this bull flag, which is bullish and gives me a new target, by the way, of 4909. So if you do take a short, just be a little light on it, just saying. But that is the measured move based on this bull flag breakout. However, this line, which is also new, I went in and I drew a few more down slopes, guys, just really so that we would know whether we were breaking out or not, right? That was good. But anyway, this red dotted has been a thing in the past, and we closed right under it. You can see how it performed in the past, right? So it's good for back tests, it's good for breakouts. And so we'll see that number and I would say that sort of the key pivot above bullish, below bearish for this week is 4458.25. A move up to 4500 would have me shorting and if that happens early in the week, that would have me shorting the bejesus out of it, I think. Whereas if we get down here, to this pink line, or especially actually at this finish line, which was previously a target, which was 4183, that would be extremely scary, I think, because I think people have sort of given up on getting a bigger dip, and I will buy the bejesus out of there. I think it's unlikely that we get there, but oh boy, I would buy it. Now let's look at the daily. Okay, so yeah, so the reason that I'm just like short-term bearish, and really that is sort of the beginning of the week. I don't know if it'll spread, but it's just because of this extreme momentum that we saw that sort of it crescendoed, I guess, right at a resistance. However, there isn't a huge weekly wick, so I do think it's likely that we may flash up, at least initially. I don't know. But the next resistance up from a daily perspective is this previous gap, right from here, that's gotten filled a bunch of times, but it still remains resistance. And that is 4464 to 4472, to 4474 area. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it. You can hear Jada's outside barking. Oh, Jada's outside barking. I'm just like, get over here. Okay, so really the 44.72 to 74. Now, I will say, I don't think that this is a head and shoulders, right? Because I mean, this is a little too high for a shoulder. But if people start pointing it out, either buy the bejesus out of it or short the bejesus out of it, because it's not going to be that. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right, let's look at NASDAQ. Okay, same deal here. Here is the bull flag I have in the NASDAQ weekly, but not a breakout. But for it to break out this next week, it really just has to open flat. So a back test of the NASDAQ breakout would be 15,037 on the weekly. This bottom channel that we talked about, every single time it's gotten a double doink, double doink, double doink, double doink. And then either we thought it would be, if it did come down here, we thought it would either go all the way down here, or we thought that it would not actually touch here, which is actually what happened. So a doink, the bottom of this channel would be 14,554. And if it gets much below that though, we do have some immediate at 14,500 or so, but below that, I think it's going to cleanse itself all the way down to 14,170. So as long as it can maintain, this would be the key pivot above 15,037, bullish, below, bearish, but you know, how hugely bearish does depend on some earnings that come out. So for this week, I'm not affiliated with these guys at all, by the way. I just saw them on Twitter, thought I would share. I think the most important ones that I see are Netflix after the close on Tuesday. So we'll have to watch that one. That could move the NASDAQ quite a bit. And then we've also got Tesla happening on Wednesday. And that has been uber bullish recently. We'll see if that trend continues now that the shorts are out of it. Typically speaking, when an announcement is made that the shorts have already covered, then I think that's good for like a little bit of time, because people are like, oh, feeling confident in it. But also that means that a lot of that momentum that happened because the shorts already covered is not there anymore. It's not a threat. So it's sort of like, I don't know about longer term. We'll have to see. Let's look at the small caps, RTY or IWM. You know, it started to break the F out this past week, but then came right back into this consolidation. Nothing has been, just like NASDAQ hasn't broken out of the flag, the small caps have not broken out of this triangle move yet. And ES, although it did break out of the weekly, like it said, it's still held down by that resistance. So we'll have to see. These are the pivots I am watching. I don't want to be overly bearish, so let me just say that these are the pivots I'm watching. 2221.7 has been the defended line. So many wicks. I mean, maybe this is just accumulation, or maybe people are going to get tired of buying it when it gets down here. I don't know. But above that is bullish, and above 2270, I think would be bullish. That's pretty close, right? But below that, potentially, I mean, these places are a good place to take a short if you are so inclined based on all this action, or above a long, or take a long here and below a short, right? So these sort of boundaries are a good place to do that. I have not been playing this indice because it's like cuckoo right now. And even though I'm cuckoo, I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about Bitcoin because this is exciting. Okay. So we had talked about Bitcoin potentially being a flag / channel and hodling. However, I am concerned. I'm not concerned, actually. Let me just say, it got to the top of our channel that I had pointed out last week, which is 61 area. For today, which is Sunday night / Monday, the top of the channel is 61,823. And so far, we have bounced down from the top of the channel. So I think the most bullish thing that could happen here short term would be some consolidation, and not a short, not like a not a pop out of the channel, because somebody had a good friend of mine actually had sent me a message like, what about gamma squeeze, or I don't even know, delta gamma, whamma hamma bama squeezing happening on Bitcoin, and it is possible. So let me just say this. If Bitcoin gets above this channel, and this is okay, this isn't a huge deal. I don't know that I'd call this a fakey breaky because it's not so egregious. However, if it gets above this 61,823 level again, it better stay there, because odds are for a fakey breaky, if it does come into this area at all and then goes back down, are big. They're big. They're huge. Especially because I saw some Bitcoin bears capitulate last week, and oh geez. I mean, oh geez. Oh geez. But we'll have to see. It's still bullish above this key area, 48,480.8. And if it does, for whatever reason, have a downwards action, you've got some support here at around the 54 area, 54,203, and so forth. So the ideal scenario for bulls, I think, would be just to have some additional wah-wah, as opposed to going crazy. Because if it goes crazy, like I said, I do think there's a high. Well, if it goes crazy, fine. It just better stay crazy. Let's put it that way. Yeah. All right. Let's look at Ethereum. Okay, so I drew in some more pivots here. This line that had served us pretty well previously, I drew in the same slope here related to this peak, and it happened to cross at this value I was looking at today. So this now is the key value, 3805. Above, bullish. Below, bearish. But below this 3581, more bearish. And then below, let me put in one more thing here. And it won't get there today, but so let's just, okay, so below 3,400-ish, let's say, it's probably going to revisit this key area, okay? Which is okay. I mean, that would still be a higher low, even if it did that, right? Right. But right now, it does have a lower high still. High, lower high, lower high so far, okay? So this could just all be a giant consolidation. I don't know. But those are the pivots I'm watching for this week. Okay, let's look at gold miners. Okay. Let me start out by looking at the weekly chart here. So gold miners had a very positive week, despite the gold weekly candle looking like desperation and despair. Anyway, we had a really nice breakout here above the key at 31.27. And for this next week, I don't know why I didn't. Let me just put in the resistance I have for this next week is, oh, look at that, 33.33. If it gets there, is weekly resistance. If it breaks above there, which I don't know, would be about, looks like about the 9MA-ish, and that would be 34.66. As far as support goes, I don't really want to see it much below 31.27. That for me would be a, if it gets much below that, it's going to dampen my enthusiasm for it just a little bit. Okay, now let's look at gold. Okay, so this is gold weekly here, and you can see, I mean, especially, let me just make this big. This gold weekly candle does not look great, but compared to the miners weekly candle, it might just be trying to stamp out the poor gold bulls that have just hung in there all this time. So it's still okay because it's still above this orange dotted line. Now for next week though, it has some work to do. This orange line here is 1765.8. A back test, and kind of the lowest I want to see it go is 1742.8. Below that, it's going to start to look dire. So if you're a gold bull, this is, and it goes down here, this will be a very pivotal week. If it doesn't and goes straight up, then yay, happiness. But at least we're seeing a thing, right? We're seeing a thing so far, and it looks pretty good to me at this time. It's still, this is the 4-hour chart. It's still sort of within the confines of this head and shoulders, except for, like I said, I think 1742, yeah, on the weekly quote corresponds with this 1744. It's not going to be good much below this. So it really, if it does go down here, it's got some work to do before it goes back up. So that's when I'm going to start to get a little twitchy and not happy about it. But if it starts back up, maybe it has an initial thing here, but if it starts back up, then I'm going to start to feel very good about it, especially back above 1788.89. I really want to close above there this next week to give me some confidence, and then hugely above 1835. 0.1, which is this sort of neckliney area that we're talking about. And it may do something annoying similar to what Joe did back in the day, where it just doesn't go up here, but it might do one of these deals. But we'll see. I think GDX makes everything look very promising. And silver, this is the silver weekly chart, also makes it look a little bit more promising than gold. So for this next week, what I would like to, silver closed. It looks like it's turning here. It appears to be turning. It did close the week above the 9 MA, which is constructive. But for next week, I want to see it close, and this is actually lower, so it's good. I want to see it close above 23.295 to sort of, okay, we got something going on. And then if it closes above 24.72, yeah, it's going to look great. So that's sort of the resistance I see for this week here. And then, there's not a lot here, guys, except for these candles have created things. Okay. When you see candle wicks like this, they do create their own little lines, even if you don't see a line there. So that's positive. That's good. I see so far we've sort of had higher lows each week, so that's good, and I'd be looking for that to continue. I don't want to see a lower low because I think it's going to get sucked down here, and that's going to be dire. Okay, let's look at oil. Okay, all right, so the measured move here from this flag breakout is 89.23. We do have a contract roll that is happening, so that's good. We are close, however, to resistance in terms of RSI. And this is by far the least constructive weekly candle I've seen, especially with ES and NQ and the small caps looking so green. So whether or not money's going to start to get rotated out of here, I do not know. But the top of the channel for next week for XOP is 108.99. Whenever you're trying to short an upward channel like this, it's very hard because price could stay here for a really long time. And as long as it doesn't, if it breaks out, same as like Bitcoin, right? It better stay out. But if it starts to pull back here, that it would be a logical place for oil to pull back as well. I don't know though. I'm not going to say anything about that because I've been super wrong. I don't want to lead anybody down the wrong path. Anyway, a back test of the XOP uptrend is still 100.43. This is not bearish at all so far. It might be just a short-term pullback. We don't know. But anything above 100.43 is still very bullish overall. So we'll see. We do, though, have some divergence here. And so depending on where this next week closes is, I think, whether or not potentially we might have seen some toppy action-ish going on in oil. I don't know. Let's look at natural gas. I was right about this one as well. It's in terms of pulling back, but I think it still has more to go. I think that it'll pull back to at least this pink line, which is also some gap back in the day of 5.21 to 5.23. I do think it'll get there at some point this week. I don't know. But if it breaks out of this channel, which is 5.557 and stays there, well, then obviously not. So above this 5.557, bullish. And then in this channel, who knows? but then below this extra bear a little bit, right? But I do think it will probably pull back here just to get rid of some of the people who got on board late. I don't know, but this is still overall superty ooperty bullish looking. So just, exercise caution in all directions, I guess. That would be my thing. I don't think we've seen the top here, but I also don't think we've seen the bottom here. So it just depends on which one comes first. Let's look at Joe Coffee. Okay, so it was pretty much right up here, and I tweeted, "Oh, I see a lot of potential." Of course you do, and then it goes straight down. But anyway, I just don't think that this overall, this is not a toppy looking. You've seen the very top of this. It's just not far enough above it. However, we might see a pullback here. So if Joe gets all the way to 52.07, I'm going to buy it because that is the long-term channel line. It could go all the way down to 20 MA. It could even go further down. It could go down here to the 46.78. I hope it doesn't all in 1 week. But I think Joe is a buy on dips personally. So it just depends on how dippier the dip gets, how much we buy it from. And then I just want to show the spreadsheet quickly. So far, in terms of when I said on October 5th that I thought GDX would outperform SPY, so far we've got 8.79% to 3.85%. So so far so good. Maybe it'll catch up a little bit or maybe not. But that's so far so good. All right, that's it. Let me just go to my thing. Okay, thank you so much again for subscribing to my YouTube channel, liking my videos. I really appreciate it. And I will see you on the interwebs. Okay, bye.